Have you ever noticed that the more deeply you think, the more distant you feel from others? The clearer your understanding of life becomes, the fewer people seem eager to hear it. This isn't a coincidence. History shows us that society often fears those who think differently, not because they are wrong, but because they see truths others would rather ignore. From Socrates to Galileo, from Tesla to Schopenhauer, some of the greatest minds were ridiculed, silenced, or rejected. Not for lack of brilliance, but because their ideas disrupted comfort zones. But why? Why does society resist intelligence so fiercely? And why did Schopenhauer, one of philosophy's most brutally honest voices, call intelligence not a blessing but a curse? Psychologists describe something called the mirror effect. When you meet someone physically strong, you might feel inspired. When you meet someone wealthy, you might envy them, but you don't feel personally threatened. But intelligence is different. An intelligent person reflects back the limits of our own understanding, sometimes without saying a word. And this makes people deeply uncomfortable. Unlike strength or wealth, which exist outside of us, intelligence touches identity. It questions our beliefs, our worldview, even our sense of self. And nothing feels more personal than that. Most people live inside frameworks of familiar ideas. These frameworks give life meaning, purpose, and order. But a deep thinker challenges those structures. They introduce ideas that make people feel uncertain, sometimes even exposed. This is why society often pushes intellectuals, philosophers, and visionaries to the fringes. Their insights don't just challenge ideas, they challenge egos. History reveals a strange paradox. The more someone seeks truth, the more disconnected they often become from others. Why? Because most people value comfort over clarity. They prefer simple answers over complex realities. They want certainty, not disruption. But deep thinkers are wired to question everything, even the assumptions society clings to for security. And so, the very pursuit of knowledge becomes an isolating path. Modern neuroscience suggests that feeling threatened by intelligence is more than a social issue. It's biological. When people sense that their beliefs are being challenged, the amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for fear, activates as if danger is near. To the brain, an idea that threatens your worldview can feel as real as a predator threatening your life. This wiring comes from evolution. For most of human history, survival depended on belonging to a group, not on being the smartest person in it. Being outcast could mean death. Thus, our brains are designed to prioritize belonging over thinking. Interestingly, studies show this fear response spikes in group settings. When someone presents a complex or uncomfortable idea in a crowd, people aren't just worried about being wrong. They're worried about looking wrong. To protect social standing, they might mock, dismiss, or exclude the person who made them feel insecure. This explains why deep thinkers often thrive in one-on-one discussions, but struggle in larger social environments where status, not substance, dominates. Several psychological biases explain why intelligence often meets resistance. Dunning-Kruger effect. People with limited knowledge overestimate their understanding and resist deeper insights. Status quo. Bias. Familiar beliefs feel safer than new truths, even when flawed. Backfire effect. Confronting people with evidence against their beliefs can make them cling to those beliefs even more. These biases create mental armor, shielding people from the discomfort of thinking deeply. Arthur Schopenhauer argued that intelligence is not a gift, it's a curse. Why? Because the smarter a person is, the harder it becomes to live in a world built on illusions of security and shallow comforts. He believed most people live under the influence of what he called the will, a blind, irrational force that drives desire, fear, and survival instincts. The will craves pleasure and comfort, not truth. Thus, the more intelligent you are, the more you see reality for what it is, and the more disconnected you become from those who don't. In today's digital age, the problem is magnified. Social media thrives on fast, emotional content, catchy slogans, memes, and sound bites. Deep ideas don't go viral because they require time and reflection. Two things modern platforms rarely reward. Instead, society amplifies simple, feel-good messages over difficult truths. So, what can deep thinkers do? If society fears intelligence, should deep thinkers stay silent? Schopenhauer would likely say no. Instead, they must accept that discomfort is part of the path and learn to share ideas in ways that invite curiosity rather than defensiveness. Because truth has never been popular, but it has always been necessary. If you've ever felt isolated because of how deeply you think, remember it's not a weakness. It's the cost of seeing clearly in a world that prefers shadows. Schopenhauer believed intelligence separates people, not because they are superior, but because they refuse to live comfortably inside illusions. And perhaps that's why intelligent people scare society. They remind us that reality is more complex, less comforting, and far more profound than we dare to imagine.